So up in the stash shop today I have the Artful Paints as promised. These are really good sized tins of acrylic paint, perfect for a lot of things including mixed media. Maybe you want to add some googly eyes and some glitter to that. In addition to that, and speaking of glitter, I do have a set of 6. This is the Jelly Roll metallic pens. They're pretty. They're from my own collection and they weren't really getting used, so hopefully somebody can put those to good use. And I've also got 2 paper bundles here. I have got a loose paper bundle, which includes some artist grade watercolour paper as well as more like craft papers. These are double-sided, they're patterned. I've got those, but I've also got a bundle of these little pads that we get in the subscription boxes, so there's quite a nice selection there. So if you fancy any of these items at a really good price, you can head over to the Cave website. The live link is down in the description if you want to go click on that. It'll take you straight there. Get yourself a little artist bargain. Hi everyone and welcome back to the Colour Cave, where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Jem and I'm a very tired person right now. I don't really want to break the momentum and I feel as if it's been ages since we did the last video on this. So we're going to return to this page and the plan today is basically... Hi Colin! The plan today is to show you what I'm going to do with this wooden surround. As you can see, it makes all the difference and can set off a picture quite nicely. So I'm going to show you the method for that. I am not going to do the whole thing because it takes forever. I will do that off camera. And then we're going to continue on and I'm going to stick to this page and see if we can maybe finish off a section. We've got Cafe Max to finish off here. And I kind of thought it might be nice if we could just do this, even just this little corner today, and then we could call that finished. If we've got time, we might even do this one as well. And then we can start to do a little bit more. When I'm doing this surround here, the other thing that I really want to do is get my Freddie Foxglove picture in Inkhouse finished. It's nearly there. I haven't had much time, but I'm at the stage now where at the weekends when I'm not working my proper job, I have to supervise Jock, and sometimes that's just sitting, so I might as well colour while I'm sitting. He's kind of dozing just now. I don't think he's very happy about the whole situation. The reason I wanted to do the surround, or can we call this the framework? The reason I wanted to do the framework first is because I'm going to be using regular pencils. Now there is a reason for this. It doesn't really matter what type of pencil you use, but because we are using water soluble media in a lot of the other places, it would be very easy for us to knock out some of the colour in the surrounding areas completely by accident. So we want to try and avoid that at all costs. So if you use an oil or a wax based pencil, most of you will be perfectly aware that both oil and wax repel water. So that is why we're going to do that. It doesn't matter what brand of pencils you use. I happen to have my my posh pencil case. I call this my posh pencil case. These are the really expensive pencils that are in here. This is just sitting beside the desk because I'm using them for a commission just now. So I'm just going to use them. But as I say, it doesn't matter what brand of pencils you use. Use your favourites. For those of you that like a bit of, I was going to say pencil, P-O-R-N. Don't want to say that word out loud. Banned. Yeah, for those of you that like this kind of thing, my expensive pencils are my Caran d'Ache Luminance. I've had these for quite a long time, and I'm also building up my Derwent Lightfast pencils. These are my favourite coloured pencils, like hands down. I prefer them over the Luminance for various reasons, but as you can see, I don't have the full set. I'm about 85% of the way there. I only use these pencils for commissions. They are very, very expensive, and I don't see the justification for using them in colouring books when I've got cheaper pencils that do just as good a job, if not better sometimes. And you don't need obviously the same light fastness for things that are mostly closed over. That's my reasoning, and I have no objections to anyone else. Okay, so here's my Luminance swatches. So I am going to pick out, there's logic behind this. This colour here, which is Carmine Lake, and it's like I would call it like a really like a dark cherry colour, or like a dark burgundy. Carmine Lake, excuse me, Natural Russet. So that's going to be like the main colour of our wood. It's going to have like a really reddish hue to it. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see. Yeah, so there we were talking about Carmine Lake, Natural Russet. And I'm also going to take Brown Ochre, which is this colour here. And I'm going to use that for the wood grain effect. So 3 pencils. So whichever pencil you're using for your wood grain pencil, so for me this is the Brown Ochre, you want to have a really, really, really pointy point on this pencil because, you know, you're making fine detail with this. Very, very fine detail. So just go for I could go for a plank at a time. Colin has made some suggestion of texture on some of the pieces of wood. So you can go with those if you like, or you can completely ignore them. It's entirely up to yourself. So I'm going to start with this beam down here because that seems like a good place to start. And I'm basically just going to flick some lines in. They're going to be broken lines because we don't want to end up with that sort of stripy pajama effect. So leave some gaps, and also you can have a little bit of a wave in them. They don't have to be poker straight. It's entirely up to you, but try and be as random as possible. So the way to do that is not to try. Just don't think about it, just do it. But you want to be pressing quite heavily once you've decided where your lines are going, because this is not, you don't want it engulfed by the darker colour. So really simple, just like that. You don't have to go crazy with it. So then we want to take our main colour, so that's russet for me, natural russet. Using a lighter hand, we're going to try and work around these lines that we've left here. Just get some colour down and then we'll start to build it up. Now this paper is quite textured. I'm not sure if the German version is different because after reading the comments from last time, obviously there's quite a few of you that have got the Russian version. There's quite a few that have got the German version, so I'm not sure about the paper difference, but the one here in the UK, the paper is really, really toothy. If you prefer a smoother texture, you might want to get a blender pencil or blending medium and smooth this out. For this framework, I'm not that bothered. Okay, so now that I've got a couple of layers down, I just want to go back with my ochre pencil, and I'm going to go back over the lines that I made, but I'm going to be a bit more wayward with it now. See, I'm using that kind of flicking motion with my hand. And then with the darkest colour, which was the Carmine Lake, I'm just going to use this for a little bit of shadow. So although that I want a soft edge with this pencil, I'm going to be working in very small spaces, so I kind of need a point. So see where these overlaps are here, right here with these doors? That's where I want the darker areas to be. So I'm just putting that down on top of what's going on there. And again, it's really just to give a bit of a sense of depth, you know, that this is a 3D structure, this magnificent structure. And really, I mean, it's not going to make that much difference if you don't do it, but it's just one of those little subtle things that you can add in, and all those little subtle things add up to a lot in the bigger picture, don't they? Little overlaps, and then I'm just going to go back with my russet pencil here now. And that is basically it. That is the technique. There are many, 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 many planks to do here, so we'll do, let's just try and do this little section here, and then we can move on. Now that you've seen it though, I can speed up the process. So what I would normally do is I would use this, like this first part of where I'm putting the wood grain in, I would I would do several sections at once, you know, a few bits and pieces at the ends here. So you can see the strokes I'm making there are quite bold. It's a very short piece of wood, so there's not a lot of thinking to do when it comes to stuff like that. Obviously we've got to avoid the things like the latches. There's a little pair of eyeballs down here. Yeah, so let's try and get this part done up to this, the door of Cafe Max. Again, Colin's left lines here, so maybe I'll put them in. Maybe I won't. I'm going to take this one all the way across because it does run the full length of the page. And off we go with our russet pencil. So at this point, this is where I tend to start working like one section at a time, because I like to get it, you know, just the way I want it. So there will be none of the darkest colour here because this part is on the front. You know, there's nowhere for a shadow that needs to be cast. Move on to this one down here. Tend not to be too fussy with this. Again, this is, you know, you kind of need to keep this in perspective. This framework is just that. It's the bits that's holding the main part of the picture together. So, you know, don't need to spend too much time agonising over the finer details. You just want the idea that that's wood. And even just at a glance, you're like, okay, you know, your brain accepts that that's wood. And yes, we can make it pretty. That's what we like to do. But we don't need to spend, I mean, you will spend long enough doing this, but, you know, just actually put the colour down, so you don't need to be worrying too much about making it absolutely perfect. So I'm taking note here as I go down. I notice that this part overlaps here, so we're going to use the darker colour around this side. So I'm just like, you know, I saw that on my way past there and I was like, all right, okay. Note to self. I'm trying to get my brain to function normally this morning, you know, like I'm willing it on. I'm like, come on, you can do it. Yesterday was awful. I was so tired, and because I've not really been sleeping well it's been a couple of months now, just with everything that's been going on. So I'm kind of running on empty before we started this, Jock escapade. But yesterday I was so tired, I made a mistake at work and I lost like 4 hours worth of work. And honestly, I could have cried. I could have cried yesterday. I managed to salvage some of it, but the rest of it will have to be redone. So yeah, don't tired and work, people. It's not good for you. Right, let's see if we can do this big long bit. So I'm going to start on this side. Try and get that all the way around there. Oh. So there's lots of bits that overlap over the top. This is like a base part. Also, the fact that there's like a gap under the door, I would want to make it darker there just naturally, just so that it'd fit in a little bit more. Like maybe there's a shadow from the creature lurking underneath the door. Because there's 2 sets of eyes. There's one under Cafe Max. It's very teeny. I don't even know if you can see that or not. Let me zoom in a little bit. Can you see them? And then obviously there's a set of eyes next door as well. So yeah, I might use the darker colour there, we'll see. So maybe we just run a line along the bottom of these doors just to give that impression of, again, depth. Plus I don't really want to do it with that one because there's already a dark part there. I think I'll just a little bit in a semicircle there. Again, this one's slightly different because it's only a weeny wee door. Yeah, I like that better. I'm happier with that. It's very subtle, but it's definitely there. Definitely there. We're going in the next, I'm just looking at the time there, it's 7:45 now. In the next 15 minutes or so, the groaning is going to start, and that is painkillers wearing off. Yeah, it's been a bit of a hard road so far. The surgeon was very pleased with the surgery. I am concerned because he is not using his foot. He's not even trying to put it down. He seems happy to stand on it, but standing on it and walking on it are 2 different things. But they do say it can take up to like a week to 10 days before the animal will actually register that it's stable and it's safe to move it and weight bear at the same time. So we'll wait and see how he does with that. But it's a lot. So it's still really early days. He's got a checkup on Wednesday, and that's basically just a post-op check. You're not doing anything specific. And then maybe another 5 or 6 days after that, he'll probably be getting his stitches out. Literally 1 step at a time and just see how it goes. Apparently as well, I found out, obviously did a bit of research on this surgery, the bigger the dog, the more risks there are of things going wrong. Obviously a smaller dog, if it had been safe, we still had the Jack Russell and it was her, the healing process would be easier, better, and it's just the size of the joint and the amount of weight that's actually going, through that joint and the force that's going through the joint. So the smaller the dog, the less pressure there is, because obviously gravitational pull is the same. It doesn't matter how big or small you are. So there's more to go wrong with a big dog, a big dog. Anyway, we're doing well though, we're doing okay, and I think things will start to settle down a little bit now in terms of sleeping, because he seems a lot more comfortable generally, whereas the first day or 2 he was really restless, so fingers crossed. Okay, so you can see where I'm going with this now, and it's going to be a really nice contrast to the rest, because we are using some really bright colours here. Somebody said that this was their favourite door. I think this is my favourite door too. Yeah, okay, so I just decided to finish off that top little frame section, and you can see I've kind of stopped halfway here, just so that we've got something to work in. It's nice to have a little area to work in like this. I've written down the pencils that I've used, because my memory is rubbish. It's even worse when I'm tired. So I'm just going to stick this in the inside cover of the book, so that I don't forget. If you can help it, try not to stick these on your pages, because although they don't leave much of a residue, you soon feel it when you try and colour over the top of it. So I'm just going to pop that in there. Keep Colin company there on the front page. So that's me. I can put my traditional pencils away now, and we're going to go back to our water-soluble media, and let's tackle some more of these doors. Okay, so we need to have a little think about colours up here now. And this door here is screaming like yellow, but not this kind of yellow, like a really bright cadmium. What have we got here? Cadmium yellow, but like really, really, really bright, really bright. I am going to not be shy with this. Like really put down a lot of pencil, because I've talked about this before. You can do a little bit of work with your pencil, but I prefer to let the water brush do the work. But if you want some really rich dark colour straight off, not necessarily dark, but you know, thick layers of colour, very pigmented, very concentrated, straight off the bat, obviously you can put more pencil down. It still operates like a normal pencil. And that's it. To get that ridiculous sort of rich colour that we're talking about, that is exactly what I'm doing here. I wouldn't normally, I'm more of a layers person. Again, not really, this paper's not completely sort of built for it. Someone suggested, when we're back on the conversation about putting things down in your paper, I may explore the watercolour ground situation, because that's something that I've not done before. I have tried gesso before, and I don't like how rough the surface is, and I don't like the way pencil goes down on top of it. So when I'm doing something like this, that wouldn't be much use to me, because I'm still be using pencil in its raw form. But I want to thank the people who commented and made suggestions for me for that. I really appreciate that. So I'm maybe going to try some watercolour ground and see how I like that. Medium brush, green one. Again, Zig H2O watercolour brushes. Water brushes, fairly easy to come by on Amazon, etc. I swear by these. I've used these more or less all 5 years of my arting journey. This is my second set, and I actually only really needed to replace one. The bristles were starting to get a bit wayward, but I decided to treat myself to an entire new set. So they're fairly robust. I like them because I seem to be able to control the water flow on them pretty well, and I don't seem to have as much luck with other brands. It's a very personal thing though. What works for one doesn't necessarily work for another. Look how bright that yellow is. Right, so if you just compare that yellow to the yellows going on down here, do you see what I'm saying about the difference that the actual laydown of pigment makes? Like, huge difference. So I'm just going to carry on here. So that was like two medium pressure layers of pencil before I even put the water on. And that's what's given me this. And this is why these are called Inktense. You get me? Okay, good. Jock is asleep again. Very tiring watching someone to make sure they're sleeping. Actually, last night I got so fed up because it's me that, that's been sort of supervising him, and he's still sleeping in a room with us because we don't know whether or not he's going to chew at his stitches, because he doesn't have a collar or anything on. Historically, he has not touched his wound sites, but we just want to make sure that he's going to be okay. So super treats, because our dogs don't even get upstairs, let alone in any bedrooms. So he's been sleeping on an orthopaedic mattress down my side of the bed. But we've decided tonight's the night. He had a fairly peaceful night last night, and the painkillers seem to be doing him through till the morning now. So he's going to go back through with Pippi tonight, and we'll see how we get on. So hopefully I am going to have a full night's sleep tonight. That would be nice. Or maybe not a full night's sleep, but at least a full night interrupted, unless I want to interrupt myself. Right, I'm going to leave that to dry now. We've got this little window pane up here. Now, we've kind of discussed this before about just putting a little tiny splodge of colour down just to take the white of the paper away and make it look like it is glass. So the problem with very reflective surfaces like mirrors, water, glass, is that they actually pick up the colours of their surroundings. So we don't really know what these surroundings are. Now, you could make that up, but for the purposes of something like this, you're kind of like, okay. So I find it easier, and maybe it's lazy, maybe it's, I don't know, wrong, whatever. But just to put a very light wash of something, I usually find that grey or blue are good colours, and I use these like diagonal lines like you would see in kids' cartoons when I was a child in the 90s. And weirdly, the cartoon that springs to mind of all things is Inspector Gadget. Like, I don't know, don't ask me where that comes from, because I don't know. It's probably my tired brain. But yeah, so again, if you just make the same movements with your water brush, then that gives you this idea that it's a window pane. Everything's wonderful. So again, we'll waft that about, let that dry a little bit. Whoa. And let's move on to the next door. So we've got some, this looks like one of our weird funky farm buildings. Maybe a green door, like a bottle green door. What do we think to that? Now this is iron green, I think. Watered down, is it not? Ionian green? That's one thing I will say. There are a lot of greens in this Derwent Inktense set. Like, there's a lot of greens. So let's see what that looks like. Let's do the panels. Wow. And I feel like red for this set of doors here again. These feel more like agricultural doors to me than domestic doors. For some of us, those two things are interchangeable, to be fair, but let's find a nice red. I think chili red might be a good shout. It's funny when I'm using reds, I tend to gravitate towards the chili red. It's just my hue of red. So let's so this is going to look a little bit more muted because we've got this grey background. I actually really like this, and I like the fact that if we keep our pencil layers light, we can actually see some of this through, you know, because obviously there is a degree of transparency to these pencils. And I think it's really nice for something like this where we've got this grayscale aspect. And this has obviously been done with ink. Or maybe it's watercolour and it's been grayscale digitally. I don't quite know how they do stuff like that. I'm not really up on that kind of thing. But I like it. So we've still got this lovely red colour. You can see we're not lacking in the red, but we can see some of that texture poking through. Like, that's super nice. I like that a lot. It makes me happy. Right, how's our yellow door doing? Good. And all I want to do here is I'm going to grab a slightly darker yellow. It doesn't really matter which one. Looking at the swatch book, like, any one of these three would do. This is the colour that we've used here for the door. So as long as it's darker, it doesn't really matter. And again, I don't fixate over things like that. There's, you know, I'd rather fixate on things that are going to make a huge difference. I'm going to grab the sienna gold just because it's on the end and it's easy. And oh my goodness, we're going to have to sharpen you. Votist. Do you notice how like a random bit of German slipped in there? Votist. Oh dear, I'm sorry. I said like my brain's just basically on shuffle just now. I was doing a little bit of online gaming again. This was it last night? No, it was the night before last. I was actually up with Jock. So we were in the cave. The cave is the safest place for him because Jock was not crate trained. You got to remember that he is an ex-working dog, so he was a kennelled dog when he was younger. So we can't crate him because he'll totally freak out. So the cave is the safest place for him because he likes to sleep in his little bed under my table that's got my drawing board on it, and that's where he is most of the time anyway. And it's a small enough room that he can't get up to any sort of speed if he decides to get up. So this is where we tend to be. Like, I'm spending even more time than usual in the cave. And so yeah, the other night I went online and did a bit of online gaming, and I was playing DayZ, which is like an online survival thing, which I really like. I don't play it very often because I don't have time to play it, because you can spend quite a lot of time like in queues waiting to actually load into the game. You can spend like half an hour, and I just don't have time for that. Anyway, so I was playing that, and I met this person, because you're basically out in the wilderness and the other people you meet are other people that are playing online, so it's people from all over the world. So I met this person and they had quite a thick accent, and you know, we sort of teamed up together for like 20 minutes or so because we were both going in the same direction. So we got talking and I said, you know, you sound as if it sounds like a German accent you've got, although they were speaking in English. And the guy was like, yeah, I'm German. And he's like, and you're Irish. And I was like, oh my God, no, I'm not Irish. I'm really, really not Irish. But I would say like close, because obviously like Ireland was joined on to us at some point. Like, but yeah, I was like, oh God, not again. So I was telling him that my German is very limited, and I was talking about Upcrate as well, which he'd never heard of because he's not an arty person. And that's we were talking about like things that I knew in German, and I was saying that Votist is something that I use, like I just slide it into English, and he found that very funny. So yeah, a good time was had by all at 4 o'clock in the morning. Right, there we go. So you see there, I know I've done this on some of the other doors, but again, it's very subtle, but Colin had left such deliberate lines there, I felt like I had to do that, but I really wanted to keep as much of the bright yellow as possible. You know, this isn't a grubby door the way like this one was a grubby door. This is a well-maintained door. Right, I'm going to go back to my green now. Oh, I tell you what I should have done there. Dang it. But with the sienna gold, this is actually a window frame here. Again, just very heavily hatched. So if I run a wee bit of that sienna gold again, just over there, takes away the white of the paper, and it's kind of in keeping with everything. Job's a good one. Right, anyway, back to the case in hand. Ionian green. I'm going to press a little bit harder. I'm still only going to put one layer of pencil down, but my initial coat is going to be a bit heavier handed there. Try and avoid that door handle. Super. There we go, that's pretty good. The other thing my German friend said to me, he said the other night as well, he said, what's your excuse for being up at this time? Germany's only, 1 hour time difference from us. So it was like 5 o'clock in the morning, but he was saying that he's basically just a night owl. He works nights, so on his days off he tends to find it easier to just stick to the same pattern. And I was like, yeah, I've got a dog that's had knee surgery. And he was like, well, that's interesting. So we got talking about dogs as well. Turns out he has a dog too. So yeah, it's amazing the conversations you can have because of the internet. Like, you know, the internet can be a wonderful thing. This little door in here, I feel like this might be part of the same setup maybe. So I think I'm just going to grab this chili red. I nearly said chili brown there, like what's wrong with me? Hi Peeper! Pip is also feeling very left out, like she's feeling super left out, and I feel bad for her, but we've had to move the basket of toys completely out the way, so Pip actually has scheduled playtimes now, where we just play one-on-one with her until Mr. Jock is kind of like fit for general population release. But the rest of the time, you know, she keeps coming and checking on Jock as well. Like, she's always been that dog. She's very concerned about her fellow housemates, whether they're human or canine. And Jock let her sniff his wound because they don't cover them anymore. Like, they don't have a dressing, or they're not like bound up or anything. It is literally just the stitches. So day 2, he sat still, and Pip kind of went over and looked at him as if to say, is it okay to come and see you? And he kind of like relaxed his leg a little bit, and she went up and started to sniff his stitches, and I was like, oh my god, this could go horribly wrong, because Jock sometimes has a bit of a personal space issue. Well, it's not an issue, he has boundaries. And he like, I visibly saw him relax, and he just sat there and let Pip sniff his stitches, and she sniffed, and then she looked at me, and oh my god, you should have seen the expression on her face. She was like, whoa, something's really wrong here. And I'm going to, it's okay, it's all right. She's looking at me like, oh, really funny. Okay, I've got my old friend Payne's Grey, one of my favourite pencils to use, one of my favourite, I can't really say a colour. And there's lots of these stones here now, so I'm going to use a similar technique that I used down here and also here. So it's really about accenting each individual stone rather than colouring them in. And it doesn't have to be fancy, it just has to be varied. I think, I don't know, maybe if I'd spent a bit more time with Pip. I always feel like Pip's a wasted dog, like she really is. She was bought as a sheepdog, and she would have made an excellent sheepdog. And then obviously we sold the sheep because there's zero money in sheep. So she became an expensive house pet. She doesn't travel well, so she gets car sick. So taking her, because, you know, I really wanted to take her to like Agility or something like that, and the nearest one to us is so far away. It would ruin her, like, even getting her there. So we've got some Agility equipment for the garden, and we're just going to YouTube it. We did a little bit last year in the summer, and I want to do a bit more with her this year to keep her occupied. But it's really funny because when we're out and about, like, she knows our sheepdog commands because we taught her them as a puppy, because we obviously thought she was going to become a sheepdog. So she can go on hand signals and she can go on voice commands, but she doesn't know why she's doing it. She just does it. And there's things that she does that's genetic, like it's obviously the herding instinct is inbuilt into these dogs, and there's certain actions and mannerisms that she has, and it's a sheepdog thing, and she doesn't even know it's a sheepdog thing, and it's very, very entertaining as someone obviously who has always had sheepdogs. But you're like, oh bless, you don't even know why you're doing that, but you're having fun anyway. So for her to be, she's kind of out of sorts because Jock's out of sorts. But she's a very, very, very perceptive dog anyway, and she's like, she looked after Woo, bless her. And towards the end, when Woo was very elderly, because I mean she was nearly 17 when we had her put to sleep last year, and you know, like, it was like at night time when they went out for their last pee of the evening, you know, before bed. If Woo hadn't come back in, Pip would stand at the door, looking out the door, looking for her. And if she wasn't back within a couple of minutes, Pip would physically go back outside and try and find her, and then trot back in after her, and, you know, as if she'd like rounded her up basically. Be like, look, mum, I've got her. So yeah, she's always had quite a concern for the other dogs anyway. So this situation with Jock's kind of like blown her tiny little mind, I think. Very interesting indeed. Just even from a behavioural standpoint, is very interesting. You can tell that I've literally not talked about anything else since I've started this video, because it is consuming my entire life just now. Right, this little door down here, I think we should make this a green door as well. Like matchy set of doors here. So yeah, this morning, this is, what day is this? I don't even know what day it is. Saturday? Yeah, this is Saturday. Mr. Jim is out looking at cows just now. One of our boys is on holiday, so Mr. Jem's doing the outsidey bit this morning, and he's our washing machine has also broken down, which is just perfect timing, you know, because we've just spent like a small mortgage on vet bills. Our washing machine has decided to pack in at the same time, so Mr. Jem is going to try and fix our washing machine after he's done outside, see if he can bodge it a little bit of hobo rigging for a week or two, and then he's going to take Miss Pippi out on a big massive long WALK, and I get to babysit Jock. I'm not sure about these doors. I'm feeling like a more traditional wood vibe, but a light wood, so maybe like a light ochre amber or mustard. Amber. Let's try amber. Again, we've got this lovely grayscale like texture behind. I'm not sure even. I've just put a couple of strokes down there like in line with the wood grain. I just want to see what happens. Oh, that's really yellow. I was kind of hoping that would be more muted than that. Not a fan. Let's try tan. I'm going to go far away from that one just in case. You never know, like by accident. Oh, better. Okay, tan it is. I might just try and kind of mute that down a little bit. Okay, yeah, I'm much happier with that. So let's do a few more planks here. The other thing I did do that's not Jock related, which is a bit more interesting to listen to, last weekend, the sun came out. That was Friday. It doesn't matter what day it was. It was Good Friday. It was Easter Friday. And I decided I would get out some of my deck furniture. I never go whole hog because it's far too early in the year, because like it's April, that means like there's still a chance it can snow for us, so you know you don't want to get well, what Mr. Jem would say, you wouldn't want to get your giddy knickers on, you know, you don't want to get ahead of yourself. But I brought out a couple of chairs and I sat out in the sun on Friday with 2 beers. I have cut my drinking right back because I'm trying to lose some weight and I haven't drank beer for ages, and it was so good. And it was only like 2 beers, but it was amazing. I really, really enjoyed it, and I closed my eyes and pretended it was summer. So I had a bit of a notion to get out a sketchbook. I didn't have enough time on Friday. It's the story of my life, isn't it? But the next day that it's nice and warm and sunny, it is sunny this morning, but I don't think it's going to be warm enough to sit outside because it's been raining during the night. I've decided I'm going to start a watercolour sketchbook and just use it for when I'm painting outside over the summer. So it'll just be a little skinny one. I'm going to use one of the sea white ones that I sell in the stash shop. If any of you haven't come across them, they're really nice and they're excellent value. Like they're good quality for the money that you pay. They make great multi-purpose sketchbooks, but I want to take one of the little square format ones because they're so cute and fill one of them up over the summer sitting outside, because we've got great views and stuff here as well. Jock's not really supposed to be moving about too much, so the cave door is closed over, but it's not completely closed so Pip can get in and out. So Pip's nudged the door open and Jock's just decided he's going somewhere and he's made a beeline. The only saving grace is that when he wants to move quickly, he's holding his surgery leg up and he's running on 3 legs, because that's what he's been doing for like nearly 2 months before the surgery. Oh, dogs. Right, tan pencil, come on now. Yeah, so, back to what I was talking about. So I'm going to try and fill... I don't think it's all going to be landscapey stuff, but for some reason, the view from the deck out the cave window, like where I'm sitting just now, it's right in front of me. I just find it very inspiring and it makes me want to paint for some reason. So yeah, and I mean, I've shared that view with you a lot of times. In the winter, it's absolutely horrendous. Like, it is so grim, it is untrue. But during the summer, it's lovely. I have found that with most places I've lived, though. I would say that the view here is exceptional, though. But obviously, again, being rural and Mr. Jem being a farmer, places that we've lived before have usually been very nice to sit out in the summer because it's quiet and you're surrounded by greenery. Sometimes it's just grass, right enough, but it's good grass. And there's something about it that makes me want to paint. I understand why a lot of people like to paint outdoors. I don't think I'd be the kind of person, that when I'm a pensioner I'll be trailing my easel and everything out and sitting with my straw hat on, but painting outside's fun. The other thing that I was really wanting to do this year, which is probably not going to happen now, is some of you may remember that this time last year, Julia of Julia Kate Art Studios came to Scotland for a holiday and she came to visit me. And I was fully planning on reciprocating and taking a little trip to Sweden because I've never been to Sweden. And one of the things I needed to do, that looks much better, and you would never know I didn't like the first pencil. I'll put just a layer of the dry tan pencil over that plank where I tried with the amber, didn't like it. What are we going to do with this one? I feel like that needs to be a much darker brown. I'm just going on gut feelings here. Like, I'm literally just going on gut feelings. I think the oak is too cold. because we've got to remember that this is grey, and I think it's going to look really kind of is the way I would describe it. Let's take a look here. Yeah, someone had posted under one of the other Inktense videos, asked me why this piece of tracing paper here, it's not here for the Inktense, it's for the other side, because that's the Faber-Castell Pit Pastel pencils that are swatched out on that side, and it's to stop the colour transferring onto the Albrecht Dürers, which is on the opposite page. Right, okay, yeah, so the darker browns are up here. Probably madder. No, let's go dark chocolate. Let's be brave. Yep, so one of the things that I need to do, because I'm actually planning on going on holiday, Mr. Jem has a big birthday this year. And he's not really one for parties and things, so we were going to go on holiday, but that's towards the end of the year. So it needed to renew my passport. My passport has expired. I sent my passport away probably, I want to say the last week in February. It might even have been earlier than that. And they have lost my passport. I don't know whether they've lost my old passport or whether they've lost my new passport, but they have lost my passport. And now the passport staff are on strike. So I don't know when I am going to get my passport. So they've asked, well, they've not asked, they don't ask, they just tell you that I have to give them 8 weeks. Now they've already had it, like obviously they've had it since February. So I didn't go for the fast track, because you can do it like a 1-day service if you're just renewing it, but you've got to go to a passport office for that, and our nearest passport office I think is Glasgow. It's a long way from here. It's not like a 2-minute jaunt, and I wasn't in any rush for it, because I was like, well, worst case scenario, even if I don't get it until May, when it's warm to go to Sweden, then that'll be fine, because that was February, March, April, May. That's like 3 months, but no. So I don't actually know when I'm going to see it, and it's kind of cheesed me off a little bit. That's kind of put the kibosh on funsies painting outside in a foreign country, which is kind of pissy. We're over to Cafe Max now. That brown was a good shout. That was just a lot of these look really muted. See, when you sort of step back and you're starting to look at this, some of it's quite kind of muted and dark. But what you've got to remember is we are going to use a metallic paint for some of the fixtures and fittings, and that's going to lift and add interest to it. We don't want everything super bright, but we don't want everything super bleh as well. We need to find that balance, and just by having these pops of colour just makes it much more interesting to the eye. Right, anyway, let's come back up here. Cafe Max, I'm not sure what to do about the sign. I see I've kind of shot myself in the foot here as well, because I was thinking to use a complementary colour for the curtains for the actual woodwork, but the complementary colour for this pinky colour is like a greeny turquoise colour, and look what I've got beside me, kind of stuffed it up for myself. However, we could have a bright turquoisey colour here, couldn't we? Like the teal green or the mallard. I think the teal green probably. We just go to town and do kind of what we did with the yellow door, make it really bright. The reason that I'm enjoying myself in this is that there's technically, usually I follow the rules, don't I? Like sky's blue and grass is green, and I tend to pick quite sort of sensible and realistic colours for my subject when I'm colouring. With this, there's absolutely zero rules, and I'm literally just making it up as I go along, and I'm kind of enjoying that, I am not going to lie. Right, let's see what we can do here. I want to put this down. See, that's really close to the garage door. Let's see what happens here. That looks okay. It actually kind of, it blends in a little bit, which that's not really a bad thing. Okay, yeah, let's do it then. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Now, as I'm coming towards the end of this and the end of my time here today with this page, my mind's starting to wander to the other things that I have to do today. And that way I'm kind of like, I have got no idea how I'm going to get through the day today. Like, I don't know how that's going to work. One thing I do know for absolute certain is I am not going to get all the housework done that I would normally get done at the weekend. Like, that's not going to happen today. Aside from the fact that in approximately an hour, my washing machine's going to be in about 16 million bits on my utility room floor. And there's going to be a very grumpy Mr. Jem attached to the other end of all that. So yeah, it's going to be one of those days today. The thing is as well, see, with our washing machine, we've been saying for about 2 years, it started to sound a bit unhealthy quite some time ago. And we have been saying that it's going to go, and it's going to go at the most inopportune moment. And lo and behold, we paid Jock's vet bill on Thursday. And the washing machine... No, we paid Jock's vet bill on Wednesday and the washing machine stopped working on Thursday. Right, I need to leave that to dry before I can tackle the other bits. Thinking about this last little section here, I'm not really sure. This makes me think of a sewer. Don't really know what to do with that. I think I'm going to stick with the dark chocolate again though. You do a little bit of this all the way around. Oh, I concentrate a wee bit there. Okay, I feel like this is bars looking through to something that's in behind. I don't feel like they are doors, but I know they're supposed to be doors. And I think I'm going to keep with my idea, just for a bit of variation. So I want to grab the this blue colour, which is what I used over in the window above the yellow door. And put a little bit of that down. And then I'm going to grab the Payne's Grey also. Fabulous. Fabulous. This door here, I don't know whether just to leave that grey. It is a huge chunk of colour. And maybe we can just accentuate it with this aquamarine pencil, which is what we were using up here. Yeah, maybe we can just add a tiny bit of colour in a few places, like in these panels, for example. Might be nice. And then maybe just, in fact, do you know what we'll do? We'll stick with this L-shape pattern. Can you see that I've done that in every one? Let's do it here too, and just leave it at that. Why not? Nice to be different sometimes. So that's still giving you like a really good bit of colour there. I'm cleaning my brush off in between here because I want everything to be just the colour that's there. Yeah, that's nice for a wee change. Right, I'm not convinced I'm going to leave that like that, but I kind of want to leave it like that just now. I feel it looks very unfinished. I'll ponder that though. I will ponder that. You know, sometimes I need time to go over things in my mind. Okay, so let's pop this. These little eyes crack me up. Put that in there and the windowsill. And then we've got the actual door. So I'm going to put a light layer just now. Tiny brush for this yellow one. And again, the Cafe Max sign, I think I kind of want to leave it as it is. And then we've got these little bricks down here. I want to pick a traditional red brick colour. Jeez, that was a lot. Too early in the morning for this. I'm sure red oxide, that was what I had in my mind. This can be a bit too red sometimes as well, I've found this colour. And I don't know why it is. I don't know whether it depends on the paper that it's on or... Yeah, I'm just not sure. But no, it looks okay here. That's fine. Sometimes I dull it down with a little bit of Payne's Grey to make it look less red. There we go, everyone. So there we go. We've got, minus the fixtures and fittings, we have got the top section of this done. So I think for next time, I'll do my homework and I'll get the rest of the framework done on this side. And I know I said it last time, but I think next time we'll do some fixtures and fittings here, seeing as we've got a whole row. So we'll get out the metallic stuff just for this top part here, and then we can continue on in the video with another couple of doors and see if we can work towards getting this right-hand page finished. That's it for today, guys. Thank you very much for coming and hanging out. Thanks for listening to me ramble on a little bit this morning. It's just tiredness. Thank you all so much for your support and well wishes for Jock as well. It's really, really appreciated. It's a pretty big surgery for an arthritic ex-working dog, although the success rate's very good. So, but we put in the work now. Things can only get easier and will get easier and better from here. So I appreciate all of you thinking of him and the advice that some of you have given as well. Obviously, I will keep you posted. I'll give you little updates on how he's getting on as we go along. So I will see you back in the cave whichever Sunday it is. See, I don't really know where I'm slotting this into proceedings, but yeah, I'll see you on Sunday for another video. So have a great day, everyone, and bye bye for now.